Nestled between the Simcoe Mountains and the Great Columbia Gorge lies the quiet town of Goldendale, Washington. Hardly anyone visits here unless it's to fill up the tank on the way to bigger and better destinations. The town of 3,400 people may be small, but beneath its unassuming quaintness lies a surprisingly rich history of nearly a century of the Orthodox Christian faith.
On November 3rd, 1926, so almost 100 years ago, Queen Marie of Romania came to dedicate Mary Hill Museum. And at the time, she gave to the museum a number of icons and relics that have been here in Klickitat County ever since. So that's really the planting of Orthodoxy in this county. It was in the mid-90s, I believe 1995, that the next step in that growth happened when the sisters, 3 Greek sisters, came here and established the monastery of St. John the Forerunner.
I was looking for the truth, and so I went to the library and I checked out just about every book on every religion there was. There was one book that I got called Becoming Orthodox by Peter Gilchrist. And by the time I'd gotten through the second chapter, I knew that's what I was looking for. At the same time, we knew Dr. Timmer, and he was in the process of finding someone to take over his property. Some of his Greek friends in Portland said, well, check the Orthodox Church. We were there when the sisters arrived, when Father Ephraim came in and introduced them to us, and we had a little dinner with them.
The thing that was really in my mind was, what are 3 little sisters from Greece who don't speak English gonna do at this small little cabin in a round rotunda out on 40 acres? I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean, there's just 3 of them. I mean, what can they do?
Over the years after that, the monasteries grew, and a number of faithful began to move closer to be near the monastery. And a number of the faithful had asked Father Joseph Copeland from Holy Cross in Yakima to help establish a mission here. And so on St. Patrick's Day in 2013, he served the first liturgy in the living room of one of the families in the parish. And that was the first liturgy for this mission that today is known as Saints Joachim and Anna.
There was just a few of us, but once Father Joseph got involved more and he started having classes, God just brought families in. So we probably started out having our meetings with maybe 8 or 10.
And we ran out of room here.
So we moved out.
So we moved out to the Lewises, and that's actually where we had our first liturgy. But then we got enough people where we had to find a place to worship. And so we started out at the funeral home. It was interesting, it's hard to invite somebody to church when, see you at the funeral home.
Over the next 2 years, the mission grew to about 27 people. At that time, in early 2015, Father Joseph asked my family to come down and help. He wanted boots on the ground, so to speak. Father Joseph tasked me with establishing a regular pattern of life in the parish. And then in 2017, the bishop decided to ordain me to the priesthood. And with the grace of the priesthood in the mission, then things started to grow pretty dramatically.
I think almost the minute he was ordained priest, I think that the floodgates just opened. And we knew even before that, my sister and I would talk about it. When we get a priest and when we get a place to worship, it's going to explode. And it has.
Over the next few years, we grew to around 100. And then by 2019, we knew we needed more space. We were worshiping out of the old Sears catalog store on Main Street here. So we purchased this building from the local chapter of the Oddfellows in February of 2020 with the intention of moving in by spring. Unfortunately, 2020, that didn't happen. But however, in Holy Week of 2022, we did move in. But by that time, we had already grown significantly to around 150. Over the next 2 years, we grew dramatically, sitting at about 225 parishioners. We currently have 16 catechumens. We have several children in the womb. So in the last 2 months, we've grown by about 20.
It's pretty much like the floodgates opened, and every time we turned around, there was another family coming. I love the Orthodox families. The children are fabulous, and now the adults are almost outnumbered by the children. So that's a dynamic, because we know they're our future. And they're there all the time, and they learn the services, they're learning the songs.
Right now, I think we have a little over 100 under the age of 20, which is half of the parish. They're certainly heavily involved. The young people in the parish are heavily involved in the life of the parish. If they're not serving in the choir, most of them are helping out in some other way.
So we've got about a third of our church goes out to the monastery on Sundays because there just isn't enough room.
On any given Sunday, we're just packed. We're standing shoulder to shoulder. That's the biggest issue right now. And in Goldendale, there's nothing to rent. There's nothing to buy that would be suitable for us. So we really do have to build something new.
And I think more people will come when it's known as a church, where right now we're kind of it's the old Oddfellows Hall, and it'll always be the old Oddfellows Hall. And we have about half the amount of money that we need to finish the first real church that we're going to put up, because we had purchased 10 acres.
Right now, we have an architect working on designing a facility that will house the parish that we have and give us some growth room. It won't suffice for all of eternity, but it will certainly at least give us a few years before we need to build the long-term permanent temple. Our hope is to be able to break ground this spring. If that works out, great, but that's in God's hands.
It's really amazing how everything has fallen together, clear back from when the sisters came, or even before they came.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see how it's grown. Sometimes I stand in church and I look around and I think, how in the world did this happen? And it's been a while, but it doesn't seem that long. It seems like it's really just busting at the seams quickly.
Coming up on the 100-year anniversary of Orthodoxy being in this county, it feels like something momentous needs to take place. We have to fulfill that vision that seems to have been there. I don't know if Queen Marie had that vision, but certainly God did. He knew what was coming, and he laid the foundation by having the holy things brought here, the icons and the relics. That's a big deal.